Great example of how we're always trying to reach new people. We're streaming live on younow.com/Michael_Dolce, DOLCE. We're also live on Periscope. What we had been doing was streaming the show through Periscope, but we're actually going to free that and put it through the YouNow link instead. So this way, Periscope peeps, I would love to hear your comments, so please log on, join the conversation. You can also always join the conversation by going to talkingalternative.com, broadcasting phone number 877-480-4120. I want to welcome my guest, Sergio Renwick from BadCoyoteFunky.com. Sergio, you there? Oh, where maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we lost him. Well, Greg. We have Greg as well. Okay.
I'm here.
Hey, there we go. No,
there we go. I could do my Sergio impression if you want.
Well,
and we can just have a close facsimile.
All right. Well, that'll work. That'll work just as well. Greg, welcome aboard. TalkingAlternative.com. Glad to have you. Now, one of the things that we're talking about is the creative economy, and one of the things that we're really talking about, which fascinates me to no end, which is something I didn't even know about until about 6 months, maybe a year ago, was the gaming world. I knew about competitive gaming. There's a competitive gaming world where people are actually sponsoring these people and doing competitive gaming, and it's awesome. But the commentating, the gaming commentating, can you talk a little bit about that and how that kind of came to be?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of it, in all honesty, stemmed out of a lot of people. Gaming for me has always been like a community event. It's always been, when you're in college or whether you're way back in the day with the kids on the street, you watch everyone play. And I think that's what Twitch kind of gives us is, hey, what is this game? It's new. It's $60. I can't invest in that. What's it like? And from there, it's these conversations grow and these relationships and these friendships really grow out of that. And I see that a lot on smaller streamers. So a couple of guys that I subscribe to, there's only like 4 or 5 people in there, but you get this really in-depth conversation, which I think is part of the social media aspect of Twitch and YouTube streaming and stuff like that.
So a couple things for the audience. Twitch.tv, What is it? And when you say you subscribe, what does that mean?
So I'd say subscribe and follow. 2 different vernaculars, but essentially Twitch.tv is a live streaming site where anyone with the technological means to do so can broadcast what they're playing free for the internet to see. So if you have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, that actually has built-in Twitch functionality. So all you have to do on Xbox is say Xbox broadcast, and it'll bring you through it. And on the PlayStation, all you do is hit the share button, and you can choose which site and which medium you share to.
We got Sergio on the line as well, too, now.
Hey, how's it going, Mike? How's it going, Greg?
Hey, there we go. Sergio, I got a question for you now. If you've been following along, we just kind of talked about Twitch.tv and subscribers and followers and the new creative economy. Sergio, why am I following people? What am I getting out of this? I guess there's entertainment value, but describe the entertainment value of following people, watching people play video games, watching people comment on people playing video games. What's the entertainment value? That blows my mind.
And that's the interesting thing, though, because this is all like a brand new frontier and a new medium, and I think the younger generation has a handle on what's going on. See,
you are the younger generation. Wait a minute. What are we talking about here? Go ahead. No, sorry.
No, I'm not pointing at fingers and dating is funny. Not doing that. I'm just saying that, so television used to be the main form of medium. TV and movies. Like, my dad used to go to the movies all the time. They didn't have a TV in their house back in the day. That was the main form of entertainment. So he would always go see the latest thing, the newest thing. And when television came out and his family got one, that was the main thing. So now what you have is you have a new medium in which you can specifically watch the things that you want to watch. There are shows on TV that target video games, that target people talking about video games, but what you get out of something like Twitch.tv is an experience. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're really into football, you're really into the NFL. What if you had like a live streaming service where not only are you watching your games, but you're interacting with millions of fans all over the United States and all over the world, because it's not just in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And you build a community, you build friends, and the person who is broadcasting is somebody who comes on every night at like 8 o'clock p.m. And you get to know this person, and you get to feel like they're your friend, and you're talking about your favorite team, you're talking about all the stories, all the stats. It's a community, So there's certain people on Twitch who are dads, and that's their outlet. They go to work from 9 to 5. They go to work from 9 to 5, and then at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, they stream on Twitch, and they can just get into what they're into. Playing a certain game, talking to their community. It's like a new form of entertainment addiction, if you will.
I think that's actually a great term that you just used, the addiction term, because I opened the show by talking about Chris Rock and the Oscar speech that he did and how great it was, but it was an online movement completely. I mean, it was not only was it a complete online movement, it was a complete online commentating of the movement, and then it was great, applaud, yeah, and now 5 minutes, 5 minutes later, it's over. I mean, to be honest with you, we haven't even, the Monday morning after the Oscars, we talked about Chris Rock, we talked about the diversity issue, we talked about Oscars So White, and now we've moved on to the next thing. So when you actually bring up the community aspect, what I'm picturing is the short attention span that's out there. And it's interesting, right? I mean, there are people that, they live stream the TV shows that they're watching so they can talk while they're watching. To me, I'm actually obviously, look, I'm not that old, and let's not brand me as too old. But at the same time, the attention span seems to be getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, I mean, we're not going to comment on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do find it really fascinating that our lack of attention span has now opened up new venues for making money. So what other venues can you guys talk about in terms of the gaming world where you kind of sit back and go, holy cow, I can't believe they're making a living off that?
I would say YouTube. I mean, like YouTube wasn't a thing. It wasn't that long ago that YouTube just did not exist, and people forget about this because it's so commonplace now. If you want to learn about how to do something yourself, YouTube. If you want entertainment, you go on YouTube. If you want an instructional, you go on YouTube. But yeah, so the other side of Twitch broadcasting, you have YouTube broadcasting. So you can broadcast live on YouTube, but you can also have people that broadcast gaming. And I think, what was it, South Park, who did a funny commentary. Yeah, the episode with Cartman. He was a commentator, but then he started commenting on games. Then he started commenting on people commentating on games. And the thing about that is, commentating on games, the commentator tells you things that they know. And, so being a game commentator, not necessarily playing the game, but commentating on it, is also a new venture that you can make money from. So, for example, the game Street Fighter. Mm-hmm. It's a fighting game. It's known, heavily in Japan. It has a huge following in America and all over the world. Now, there are guys who don't play, but they make really good money just broadcasting it for tournaments. Mm-hmm. Like the biggest fighting game tournament in the world is called Evolution Evo, and that's always out in Las Vegas once a year. And there are guys who don't play, but they're very good at commentating and pointing out things. They know the technical stuff in the game. Yeah. So, so again, let's go back to a sports broadcaster. So let's like the NFL. Let's say there's a guy he's never played football, but he understands it. And you want to get that voice and that guy who understands the technique, he understands the tactics. You get him to talk about the game. People tune in, people listen, people are like, oh wow, yeah, okay. Yeah. But imagine having that every day, and that's where we're at right now. And that's a new venue. So people who broadcast about these subjects who don't necessarily do it, like a guy who's commentating on basketball, guy doesn't play, but he knows everything about it. Yeah.
Greg, you broadcast Bad Coyote Funky, the nerd podcast on twitch.tv. You were talking to me about twitch.tv. Talk to me about the evolution of Twitch, because I know it started out as a gaming website, but now it's kind of moved into something even more broader where you guys are literally just launching your podcast, and you guys, let me rephrase that. You've launched your podcast, you're streaming your podcast on that website.
Yeah, so the evolution of Twitch has been really insane. Like you were saying before, it was pretty much only games. And I remember going to the Penny Arcade Expo one of my first or second times, and people like not really knowing about it, and like even like asking me. I was just like hanging out, be like, "Oh, are you with Twitch?" And I'm like, "No, what the heck is what's a Twitch?" And then you kind of figured out through that way. What I really like about it now is it's really giving different venues, different creators, people who don't want to just comment on their content that they did not create, but content that they're creating. So like us with our podcast, or even I have a background in indie game development. I do 3D art assets and stuff like that for certain select games. So a lot of people now are, as they're making their game, broadcasting that on Twitch. So you get like the inside scoop. You can hear, like Sergio was saying, that commentary of like, oh, you're programming in Unreal and the difficulties with that, or the successes with that. Or even, I was watching a channel the other day on the Creative Network now, where he was just doing a warm-up sketch as a concept artist, just working on some art for a game that he's doing. And you could just sit there and listen to the music he's listening to, watch him draw, hear what he has to say, and, maybe give feedback on the work in progress.
Isn't that a little creepy?
Really become not just about commenting on content, but creating content.
No, it's not. I don't think so. There's a channel on Twitch called Twin Galaxies, and Stan Lee goes there every so often, and it's cool too because it's a direct way to talk to your audience. I mean, when a lot of people use Twitter. I mean, I used to.
It's really incredible too, Greg. You mentioned that you do some 3D art for video games. Do you do that from home? Is that something? And how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I do that freelance for home, essentially. My home office is working right now. So yeah, it's essentially I got into it. I've always loved video games growing up. I've always loved comic books growing up, and my family isn't really technologically savvy. So when I was I want to be a comic book artist. So I did all that stuff. And then once I hit college, and then I did out bookstores on all that, and they had like all the latest and greatest games and all that stuff. Whoa, and really get into Photoshop. And it was a small evolution, so finally I went into a intensive 1-year 3D animation program that was here in Massachusetts. And I just picked it up right away. It was great, and I got a job right out of the get-go, and I've been kind of jumping from just independent contract through there. One of the games that I had a small hand in is actually right now, and it's great just to get a lot of positive feedback and a lot of fun. So, and a lot of that, like I never streamed my content from there because I had an NDA, but I see it a lot now that people work on the games on Twitch, which is awesome. That are found by legal restrictions.
It's incredible. I actually bring my office with me everywhere. I have offices everywhere. The Starbucks on 72nd Street, the Starbucks in Nyack, New York, the Starbucks. I mean, it's incredible. I have a laptop, and I have my entire office with me. I have everything I need to work on any kind of web development, any kind of comic book project, any kind of script. Yeah, it's really incredible. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation, but we're also going to introduce our March Madness Final Four movie franchise Final Four, where we break down the top 4 movie franchises. I have got some rules, I've got some regulations, and then the boys from Bad Coyote Funky and I are going to break down and rank our top 4 in each of the following film categories: Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, and X-Men, when we return. Question for Periscope peeps, can you actually hear that? That's our other question. Can you hear the interviews going on? We have 2 right now, so please comment in if you do. Oh, awesome. Okay, so I plugged that in, and now you can hear. So that's awesome. So we